Hello. One of my viewers asked me to make a review of the Indigo EA, so I have done that for you guys, and I've run it I think about a month. But before I get into that, let me quickly show you the disclaimer here. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not advising you. I'm not giving you financial advice. In fact, you should not trade with money unless you expect to lose that money. You'll probably lose in trading. Most people lose in trading. Trading is not usually profitable. Even if you saw it be profitable in the past, it may not be profitable in the future. You should speak to a financial advisor or other financial professional and not listen to anything I say. Please read this carefully. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at the Indigo EA. I was able to borrow a copy from a friend and run it for a little while. I ran it on the H4, and I also ran it on a lower time frame, and we'll get into that. This is what it looks like when it's running. As you can see here, it has red and white candles for loss and profit candles, and in the corner it says Indigo, and then it also has another indicator for STR, another indicator for Z Turbo, which is kind of a suggestion, sell or buy. So I've run it for a while. I started this as a $20,000 demo account. It's down to $19,146 equity. So I just wanted to show you how this looks. We'll get into the statistics a little bit more, but first let me show you. I found it for sale a few places. When I googled Indigo, I found some videos starting in December of 2019 that say the Indigo EA is coming. Another one in January 23rd of 2020 and January 8th of 2020 showing it running. And then I found it for sale on EAFX Monster for $35. I think it's normally a lot more. So I found this. I'm not sure if it's the real EA or not, but it does have a link to a video with the red and the white candles, and it looks basically to me like it's the same EA. Next thing to look at is my FX book. So first we can look at the account that I ran on the M5 chart. So I ran it on M5, I ran it on a bunch of currencies, and basically it lost on almost every currency I ran it on. It had a slight gain on the Euro JPY, but it was pretty much a disaster on every other currency. So if we look at it here, I started running it around May 22nd with a $20,000 account, and by the time I turned it off on June 9th, it had run that account down to $5,185 balance. Looks like there's still a trade open there when I closed it, but I think I closed that trade by now. So it managed to successfully lose a lot of money really quickly. It lost 38% in May, 58% in June, and this is on the M5 chart. If we look at some of the, it's probably not worth going into what it did on each currency, because the bottom line is it lost on almost every currency with only a narrow gain on a couple of currencies, 2 or 3 currencies. If we look at how it trades, it's trading very small pips. It's losing 9 pips and it's gaining 14 pips. So I like the fact that it wins more than it loses in pips. But of course, I don't love the fact that it is making very small gains, because what that does is it magnifies the impact that the broker's commission and spread has on your trading. Because if you think about it, let's say the broker has a $5 commission on a lot, a round turn of a lot, and then the broker has a spread of, let's say, 2 pips. And let's say you try to gain 5 pips and you trade a lot. Well, the spread is 2, so you lose, I think, 2 on the buy, and then you lose 2 on the sell. So for your 5 pip gain, you've already paid 4 pips to the broker. And then the broker's charging you $5 in commission on that lot, so that further cuts into the profit you make. Whereas let's say you made a trade with your lot and you gained 100 pips. You went for big pip gain, big pip loss. There you are going to get 100 pips, pay 2 pips on the buy for the spread, 2 pips on the sell for the spread, and or you can even think of it as 1 pip on the buy, 1 pip on the sell for each, which is a very small percentage of your overall 100 pip gain or loss. And the $5 commission paid only once is a lot smaller percentage of what the money you're going to gain than it would be if you went for 5 or 10 pip gains. So I don't know if I explained that well enough, but intuitively you should probably realize that if you play with small pip EAs and robots and strategies, you're really giving up a lot to your broker. So generally speaking, I prefer big pip strategies. I'm happy to lose big pips and gain big pips because that minimizes what the broker's taking from me. Hope that makes sense to you guys. If not, I'll try to mention it in some other videos. So this is a fairly small pip strategy. I don't really want to get into all the metrics because suffice to say it's bad, very bad. So this is the worst news, the M5. On the H4, it did better. So here we have it on the H4, and you can see it only lost 3.88% a month. It started out with 20,000. It's right now at equity of about 19,130. So it's in a little bit of a loss. If we look at how it traded on the H4, it's a little more in terms of pips. It's 22 and 14 pips on a loss, 22 pips on a gain, but still pretty small pips for an H4 chart. So your trades are pretty quick in and out kind of trades, 5 hours, 25 minutes. So it's not a scalper, but it's not that far from a scalper. We look at the summary of assets, currencies. Even if we take away its 2 worst currencies, if we took away, I traded it on the yuan, US dollar yuan, which is a currency I like to play around with. It lost 475 there. That was its biggest loser. And I traded on AUD NZD, which is basically a fairly stable currency because those 2 economies are both resource-driven economies, mining economies, and they are pretty closely aligned in terms of seasons, weather, geography, types of economy. So those 2 currencies generally track pretty closely together. Of course, not in lockstep, but I think that's a lower volatility currency. And so I like to always include it when I test if I can, because it gives me an idea of how the EA performs on a lower volatility currency. So you can see it lost $390 there, and it lost $475 on the yuan. So let's even take out the worst 2 currencies. Even if we took both of those out, it's still not back to, or it's barely back to break even. So I can't say that running it for 2.5 months, or 2 months in this case, I guess, May, June, sorry, I didn't run this one for as long. I ran it for May 22nd to June 12th, which would only be 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, about a month, 3 weeks. So this one, unless I have a custom analysis here, let me just check. Start date. Let me clear the start date. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I think I changed the start date. So actually I'd run it longer, I think. No, still May 22nd. Okay. So here you see that it really barely made break even. So not too impressive. Although it did have a good week this week. It gained 4%. And I contemplated whether to make this video or give it more time to dig itself out. I was actually going to make the video when it was down here, and I let it run up and then lose a little and run up a little more. So it's kind of on the come here, but not enough to convince me that I should keep running the test, and nor to convince me that I'm interested in this robot, because I'm not. So other things I can show you. We looked at the videos. We looked at the sale. That's pretty much all I have to say on this robot. I'm trying to think if there's any other statistic I want to go over with you guys. I like the short trading time of the robot. I'm not going to do a scoring card on this robot because I don't think it's worth doing a scoring card and going to that trouble. To me, this just is not a robot I'm interested in trading. Unless I see something much different from this robot, I would never run it with real money. Now, I could be mistaken about it. There might be things I don't know about it. If you guys know something I don't know or have observed something that I haven't observed, feel free to message me, put it in the comments, whatever you want to, and if I think it has merit, then I may do a follow-up video. But for now, I'm a thumbs down on the Indigo EA personally. I wouldn't consider it. Hope that helped, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you.